30 years and 30 minutes. There you go.
There you go. That's right. Well, hi, everybody. I'm Betsie Norris, and welcome to our Freshly Squeezed Scoops session. Today, we're talking about our family services. And just to catch everybody up, this is part of our Creating Futures that we're doing for the month of May. So we were not able to do our typical Creating Futures event. And so instead of doing an online event that was a synchronous event, we thought we'd have activities throughout the month. And so when we're together for one of our special events, we have the opportunity for people to learn a little bit more about our services and meet some of the people that we work with. And so this series that we're in the middle of right now is serves that purpose for the month of May. So we're happy to have you here. And if everybody wants to put their computer screen on speaker view, then you'll be able to see the speakers best, I think. And again, welcome. I'm Betsie Norris, and I'm an adoptee, and I'm the founder and the executive director of Adoption Networks. I've been doing this work for a long time. We're in our 33rd year, which is really exciting. And as I was thinking back about our family services, both in the past and then leading up to today, a few people came to mind who I've had the pleasure to know back since pretty close to the beginning of the organization, people that have used our services in multiple different ways. It's exciting to me, having been doing this work for a long time, to see, to know people as they were forming their families, or sometimes even before, and then all the way through, that they're still involved now. And so Lori was one of those people that came to mind, and she graciously agreed to join us today. So with that, I'll hand it over to Lori for introductions, and then Danielle, who's on our staff, will introduce ourselves, and then we'll jump in.
Hi, Betsy. Hi, everyone. Yes, I've been a member of the Adoption Network for 30 years. I found my birth mother 30 years ago on June 2nd. So it'll be 30 years ago in a couple of weeks. So it's pretty amazing. And then through the years, our family grew through adoption. We ended up with 6 kids. Yes, six, count them, 6 kids. And we've accessed lots and lots of support through the network through the years. And I've done a lot of volunteer work. I don't have any time now. I get too many kids, but I've done a lot of volunteer things for the network through the years. So I'm very happy to be here.
Thanks. Danielle?
Hi, everybody. My name is Danielle Gibson. I'm the Education Liaison and Program Coordinator. I mainly work with our youth programs right now, which is Guy and Girl Code.
Mhm.
Great. Well, Lori, as I said, you've been involved for so many years, and I know that our multiple different programs have impacted you personally and your family and the formation of your family. So maybe talk a little bit further about some of the different, as you look back at your years of involvement, what's been most impactful?
Well, Betsy, personally, you're the one who set us on the path to open adoption. So my husband and I were planning to form our family through adoption. Um, After I had found my own birth parents, I had a very successful reunion in 1991. And at the same time, we were moving forward with building our family through adoption. And after finding my birth parents, and that went very well, Betsy was the one who said, well, there's this openness thing that's happening these days. And she kind of steered us toward an agency that really wanted to do more openness at the time. So lo and behold, they got the ball rolling. So that's probably the most impactful thing through the adoption network through the years.
Great. And Lori, I know that you were involved in some of our early fund development efforts and involved on our board of directors. What do you remember from way back when?
Oh my gosh. Well, the best one was our very, very low budget fundraiser. This is way before the beautiful, beautiful gala events we had. And we had a event at Sokolowski's, and there was a group of us that wrote a cheesy radio play. It was so bad and so funny and so much fun. So it was very, very low budget. So yes, I was part of the original board. The excitement about the adoption network is where it came from. I mean, it started literally in Betsy's spare bedroom. And as it grew and more people found the network and there was such a need, Betsie herself quit her full-time job to run this. It was amazing. So there needed to be a board of directors. So I was one of those original board of directors. I got roped into being the development director, the fundraiser development director. So that was pretty interesting. I got to learn. I guess that helped me become a PTA president through the years. So some of those early things were neat, moving from Betsie's house to a real office. That was very cool, and having board meetings, and then when the agency and the organization realized they needed a formal executive director. So we had a formal executive director search. It wasn't just a given that Betsie got the job. So there was we had a search committee. There were several of us. We had candidates. We interviewed the candidates, and obviously Betsie was the most qualified. So here she is. But that was a big part of it back in the day. Some of the other things I had the pleasure of being part of back when there was the dawn of the Adoption 101 program, which was really, it to this day is really an amazing, impactful program. And I can't say enough good things about it. And Adoption 101 is exactly that. It's for folks who are just want to learn about adoption and what are the options. And there is nowhere else around that can give you an unbiased, a comprehensive program that talks about just what are you talking about with adoption? What does it mean? This is not an adoption agency. We're not looking for birth parents. We're not looking for family members. We want to educate people. So that is really a cool thing. So it was very exciting to be part of that, the beginning of that back in the day.
Yeah, it's interesting that we have so many programs that have been such long term. So 101, I think we started it in the mid 90s, and it's
probably, yeah,
really strong. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere I've got a photograph of the planning committee that you're in from those early days.
Mm-hmm.
So Lori, one of the things that's interesting to me is how many different connections you and your family have to adoption. And so I know that, through the course of you first coming to us for your own adoptee search and reunion and experience, and then adopting, and then, if you want to talk a little bit about your mom's experience.
Right. So I found the network because I was doing a search for my own birth parents in 1991. And I saw an ad in the paper about a support group. And my husband and I went to a meeting, and it was amazing to hear from mostly moms who had made adoption plans. Most of them had been years and years previously. So that that moms don't forget their children, and they're always thinking about them. So that was very, very cool. And then, as I said, we moved forward into our own adoption plan. And now I'm blanking on the question. Betsie, say it again to me.
About your mom.
Oh, my mom, right. Yeah. So, I'm an adoptee. I'm an adoptive mother. So my adoptive mother, turns out she had a baby in 1949. And she lived in rural Canada. She was 21 years old. They shipped her off to a stereotypical maternity home for unwed mothers run by nuns, the whole shebang, on Manitoulin Island in Ontario, which is really the middle of nowhere, especially in 1949. So she gave birth to her son, Michael, and, of course, was told that the best thing would be for her to make an adoption plan, which she did. And she met my dad and married my dad 10 years later. And they could not have children naturally. So they ended up pursuing adoption. So that's where I showed up. And then my sister a few years later. So in 1992, I had found my birth parents. We had adopted our first son, and we had an open adoption that was going very well. And her son came to find her. And she would still have not said a word. My dad never knew. My sister and I never knew. My mom gets a letter from some social workers in Canada, which my sister snooped and saw and said, oh, and we laughed. Gee, maybe mom had a baby and never told us. And that was exactly it. So the Ontario Social Services at the time, her son reached out, and he found, he called them, and they said, okay, so they had to have an intermediary. So they look up Cleveland, Adoption Cleveland. Oh, look, they found the Adoption Network Cleveland. So they wanted an intermediary to present the information. So my mother and I go over to Betsie's house on a Sunday, and Betsie presented the information about her son, Michael, to her. Betsie already knew me and she knew my mother, and it was, so it went well. So, I mean, it's just amazing where how much, where my family is touched by adoption.
We call you a triple dipper, I think.
Yeah, and I'm a social worker to boot. So there you go.
That's right.
I've done home studies, I've done adoption and foster care home studies through the years too. So there you go.
Yeah. So bring us up to today and talk a little bit, if you will, about some of the services that your family is using now.
Sure. Okay. Through the years, my 6 children range from the age of 29 down to 9. So yeah, we have a 9-year-old, which is pretty darn crazy. But back in the day, our boys went through the parallel groups. That was a really cool program, which was, it was like it sounds, parallel. In one room where the adults talking about, the parents were talking about issues, in the other room where the kids talking about adoption related issues. So that was cool. Then it turned out that our 2 youngest children are multiracial. It's not something, my 2 daughters, and it's not something we had typically planned on. Our boys all happen to be white and we happen to be white. And we ended up adopting our girls, who are birth siblings to boot. So there's a whole new dynamic thrown into our family. So obviously where am I going to go? I'm going to go to the Adoption Network for support. There was a transracial adoptive family camp that the network was part of a few years ago. So we went to that 3 years in a row, which was incredible. Absolutely opened our eyes because, we're colorblind. Everything's fine. We love these kids. It doesn't matter. And it just really educated my husband and I about, no, there's a lot more to it than that. Absolutely. So, and then we have since found the Girl Code program, and our daughter, who is 13 going on 33, I think, is part of the Girl Code program. And she really, really connects. She loves meeting with Miss Danielle and the other young ladies who get on, and it's just, who knows what they talk about because I'm not part of it. So just for her to have a role model of a woman of color who can sit with them and talk to them about these kinds of things is amazing. So that has been a wonderful, wonderful piece. There's also the Weaving Cultures family group, which we've run over the past few years. So we've got lots of families. I often say we're, those clueless white parents with the Black kids, but it's just great to connect with other families because we can, and then our kids get to see other families that look more like us. We don't all match. We got a bunch of us, and it's kind of a cool thing. So those have been some very exciting things that who knew? I mean, 30 years ago, I thought, one and done, we're going to have a baby, we'll be done. And adoptions, what's the big deal? But there you go, lifelong process. And here we are, still here.
Yeah, you had a lot of your situations just kind of fall into your lap, which isn't necessarily typical.
No, right. I did not, believe me, I never set out to adopt 6 children, and my husband would absolutely positively agree with that because he put his foot down with that last one and said, no way. And here we are with a 9-year-old.
Yeah. Danielle, can you talk a little bit about your work with us?
So, thank you, Lori. You have me a little emotional over here. I really appreciate all those wonderful compliments. So Girl Code and Guy Code started last year due to some of the barriers that we were experiencing with COVID. I brought an idea to the table about splitting them male and female, and my boss and everyone else was on board about it. So since then, Lori's daughter has been attending, and some of the topics we talk about range from, how's your day going? Lori's daughter often does talk about her adoption experience, which I think is amazing. And we also just talk about, to Lori's point, about more race-centered issues. A lot of things that were going on with George Floyd last year, a lot of the girls had, very important questions, how they were feeling in their neighborhoods and whatnot. So we were able to tackle very heavy issues. And I just believe that, Girl Code is just a safe place for young women to come and express issues that they're feeling. And it's been going really, really well. I guess it's been a year now. I can't believe it now that we're talking about it, or maybe a year in the summer. So yeah, it's my 2 girls, they come back every week and every month. And so I'm really happy about that. So we're just trying to now, figure out what virtual planning is going to look like, trying to expand upon, different in-person, activities, but still making sure that we are available in different types of medias in person and also our virtual world.
Great. Danielle, I know that you also talk to a lot of families about school issues, educational issues, and other types of questions that people call with.
Yes, so also part of my position is I'm the education liaison. So I'm able to assist parents with 504 needs, IEP needs. Last year when everything got shut down, I was able to assist parents with Google Classroom because it was just, everything was just thrown on the plate. And, a lot of parents, needed ideas and helpful tips and tricks. A lot of parents would have multiple kids in the house, so how to arrange their day, how to communicate with on class dojo and things like that. And also, a lot of IEP meetings were getting pushed back. So a big part of my job is I love being an advocate for our families when, the schools, while they always have the best intentions, sometimes I do believe parents just need that extra person in the corner saying, no, that's not how this goes. This is what my parents need. So I really enjoy being an advocate for our families. In the summer, I'm always available if, they want different ideas for summer camps, or if they need ideas for learning websites. I'm a well of information. I love ABC Mouse, Scholastic, highlights, and things like that. So I'm always able to provide educational resources to our families.
Thanks. So speaking of summer, and it's 90 degrees out today, Danielle, can you talk a little bit about some of the plans that are in the works for this summer as we go into hopefully a new phase here with our community and therefore our ability to do programs?
Yeah, so I'll talk about Girl Code first. We are trying to figure out a day in July that me and the girls can try and meet up. Just to go back to that, that in person, we did a really big survey last year. And so our families definitely want to get back to in-person activities. So we're definitely going to try to blend a little of in-person activities with our family ties. We're figuring what's going to be the best solution. We're looking for locations now, but we're definitely going to bring our families back safely, the best that we can, but there will be more in-person activities probably starting in that June and July bubble. So I'm really excited about bringing our families back because I know everyone wants that in-person connection. I know we're all zoomed out. So I'm really looking forward to some of the planning that we have, and it's going to try to offer, like I said, in person, but still making sure that, our parents can also tap in with us virtually when they need to, and just finding that really good balance.
Yeah, I know during the months that things were really shut down, parents we're getting a lot of phone support more than maybe some of the group support. Everybody's all of a sudden at home with their kids in the same room, and it's a little different than coming to a place where you can speak freely, and and people's schedules were obviously really disrupted. And it's been impressive how resilient our staff has been to recreate again to make sure we're meeting everybody's needs.
Yeah, we always try to, we did the gingerbread houses in December, and then we did our blooming and spring kits. So again, just trying to, the ways that we can involve our families, we're just trying to always make sure that our families come first.
Yeah, so yeah, thanks for that. So a couple other things that we have coming up or are current, we were able to get a grant this year to form a family resilience fund. So that was really exciting. We've never had money to give away to families before. That, it always seemed like something that would be wonderful but unattainable. But we were able to tap into a fund through the governor's office on the state level to create a fund during this critical period of time where families are in need. And so families have to qualify with income and that type of thing. And it's only for specific purposes, but it's an emergency fund to help provide opportunities for more stability and permanency for kids. And so any adoptive, kinship, or foster family, or we also include youth who were in foster care and are now parents, and so young adults typically. And so that's something that we're hoping to continue into the future. We're waiting on the renewal of that grant right now. We are also looking at planning educational groups for families, so having opportunities to have a deeper dive into specific topics, probably starting in the fall. And those we're still formulating some of those concepts, but that will probably look like a series of weekly groups or a certain number of groups on a topic and then coming together for celebration or some type of outing. And so those are in the works. So if any of our listeners have ideas or specific topics that you'd like to see covered, you can let us know that. We talked about the educational liaison services, and those obviously continue into the future as well. And we're really pleased to be a partner on Ohio CAN, which is the Ohio Kinship and Adoption Navigator Program, which is a statewide program that just launched this past year. And we have 2 navigators who are on our staff. There's 3 navigators in our region, which happens to be Cuyahoga County, Summit County, and Medina County. And 2 of the 3 navigators in our region work for Adoption Network Cleveland. So those are our most recent staff. Lindsay and Andrew. Andrew just started yesterday, so he's still in training. But their role is to help provide access to resources for adoptive and kinship parents. And so helping them to connect to a wide variety of resources across the state, or to meet their needs. And so they are available as well. And you can find out more about them on our website if you have any interest or any needs to call them. So with that, why don't we take a break and see if any of our listeners have any questions? Okay.
Betsie, can you share a little bit about our Monday evening speaker series that we started during the pandemic to address the needs of our constituents?
Yes. So when everything shut down a little over a year ago, of course, it was shocking to everybody, and but always trying to look through a resilient lens and see what types of opportunities are provided as well. And we honestly had talked for a long time about maybe changing some of our programming to virtual, and never quite made that leap. Well, we did always have, for the last 5 or 6 years, we've had one virtual support meeting every month, but we hadn't quite made the leap with a lot of other programs. But that seemed like a point in time where there's obviously increased community need, and good entry point to start doing some different things. And so we put together a Monday evening speaker series that we started in the very beginning of April last year, and had several, I think 9 sessions in a row last spring, and then took the summer off and had a virtual conference this fall, and then got back to the speaker series in January, which is going strong through June. So you can see the topics and the presenters that are coming up. It's been an opportunity for us to engage national level presenters, a lot of authors of books that are very popular in our niche of the world, and different people that have lots to say. And so an opportunity for people to come together and have discussion and hear about a topic and participate. And so those have been an incredible opportunity. And I have to say, we have people from all over the place who have joined us, not only for the Monday evening speaker series, but even for our general meetings or Family Ties, our different virtual programming. We've had people signing on from lots of different cities, literally from Alaska to Hawaii to New York, and all over the place. And I think that reinforces that much of what we are doing is unique and really needed in the community. And so it's been great to see us be able to maximize our footprint and draw on lots of people. One of the things that we're looking at, of course, as an organization, is what does life, as everybody's looking at, what does life look like after all this? And my best guess so far is that we will continue much of the virtual programming that we have built, and then also obviously add in opportunities for people to come together in person. And so, it's been a great way to kind of get over that technological hump and provide some different opportunities for folks.
Lori, can you share a little bit about what surprised you the most about being a transracial adoptive parent, and what support you've received through Adoption Network to kind of meet those challenges?
Sure. Most important thing is we cannot be colorblind parents. It's just like, we can love any child. Of course we can love any child, but the minute my child walks out the door, my daughters are identified as women of color, and I can't ignore that, and I have to prepare them for that world. And I'm not equipped to do that. I have to go find those resources. I mean, from things such as hair and skin to, how do you talk about this stuff, Black Lives Matter and the things in the news, and what's going on in her school, and and where do you find role models, strong role models of color? I mean, all of those things. And my husband and I are not prepared for that. So that has been invaluable, what we've been able to find, because that's a never ending education for us. And all we can do is keep doing what we can to prepare our children.
And Danielle, if there's families out there that are interested in our Girl Code or Guy Code and interested in getting their teens involved, how best should they get in touch with you?
Email is best, and Guy Code, we really are looking for young men that want to actively participate. Our coworker, Julius Jackson, he's great with kids, and I know that we did have one attendee, and the feedback that I did get from that parent was, Julius was listening and he was attentive, and the young boy, he did enjoy his time. It just, the schedules with that particular family just haven't worked out right now. But emails, you can give me a call at the office. Someone will get you in contact with me, and it's for young people from 11 to about that 18 mark. So I would love to have a conversation with any parent that is interested.
Danielle, do you want to give your direct phone line?
Yes, 216-482-2332.
Thanks. I know you don't call yourself. Thanks. Any other questions?
I'd like to say a few last words too, if that's okay.
Yeah.
One of the most incredible, unique things about the Adoption Network is that it serves all folks touched by adoption, and that is amazing. We're talking about people who have or are considering making an adoptive placement for their child. You're talking about adoptees. We're talking about people who have or are considering adopting children. So there's just so much information for everybody. And the network has done an amazing job of expanding that and finding things. Partnering with Ohio Can is amazing, because I've already referred families there, because that has been quite lacking. Kinship families just have not had the support that they need, and there's only going to be more and more kinship families. Something that's gone on for years and years is the Birth Mother's Day ceremony. That is the day before Mother's Day. We celebrate birth mothers because they were the first mother. I took my mom, who was an adoptive mom and a birth mom. I took my birth mom. I took my son's birth mom to some of those. It was amazing. And things like the annual meeting back in the day, the annual meeting, I took my birth father to one of those, and there was a lot of talk about birth moms and this and that. And he looked at me and he said, well, what about the dads? We have feelings too. And exactly, I mean, that's where the strength of this organization, we're serving all people touched by adoption. And the mission statement is, that adoption is a lifelong process, and there's always going to be support needed.
Thanks, Lori. Any last thoughts, Danielle?
Sorry. No, I'm just excited to help any parent out, especially if there's anybody listening and they need assistance with like some fun summer activities with the kids. I've worked with kids for 20 years. So any parent that just wants to call and just, talk about ideas, education, things, activities for their kids to get involved with in the summer, by all means, give me a call.
Great. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you so much, Lori and Danielle. Lori, like I said, you were one of the first people that came to mind when I was thinking about some of the depth of our service and the perspective that you would hold after all of these years. It's incredible. It feels like a lifetime. It's incredible
Exactly.
how long we've known each other and how much we've worked together over the years. So thank you for everything.
When we met, we had no children. How about that?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Bye-bye.